Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is on Palmer.
Welcome in, Hunt Palmer, coming to you on a Fat Tuesday from Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. Happy Mardi Gras, everybody out there. Casey Gaines and Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. We are with you for 2 hours today. I'm punching the clock today. A lot of people around here not. But Casey is, Taylor is, I am. So we will be hanging out with you until 3 o'clock. Got an hour to get you ready for LSU and Southern from the box. Little matinee here on this Mardi Gras day over at the box. So we'll get you ready for that here in the next segment. And Glenn West going to join us from the box at 1:30. For his thoughts on what we saw over the weekend from these Tigers and what he expects to see today between LSU and Southern. Little crosstown matchup there. Matthew Bruni's going to come on in the second hour, talk a little bit of hoops. Going to get you ready for the night in SEC basketball tonight, which is very, very important for a couple of teams. So a lot to get to over the next 2 hours, and fired up to be here with you. Unfortunately, we are going to start with some bad news, some significantly bad news, quite frankly. I saw this 9 minutes ago. So I had my entire show mapped out, whole thing's rock and roll, ready to roll. I'm going to talk baseball in this first segment, give you my thoughts on Thatcher Hurd, and then news breaks, and it is very relevant, and so we're going to start with it here. LSU wide receiver Malik Nabers, coming off a 1,000-yard season, reportedly arrested in New Orleans last night. WAFB Channel 9 is reporting this. I just saw it pop up. The details that WAFB has on this story. LSU wide receiver Malik Nabers was arrested in New Orleans on a weapons charge, according to authorities. He was booked into Orleans Parish Jail early Tuesday morning on a charge of illegal carrying of a weapon. The jail records do show. Records show Malik Nabers was released later Tuesday morning on his own recognizance, meaning he was not required to post bond. The arrest happened reportedly at 9 o'clock last night, and he was not booked until about 2 o'clock this morning. Those are the details as we have them. And again, this just came across the wire. Obviously, it's a huge name. Malik Nabers is the number one wide receiver in this football program with the moving on of Kayshon Boutte to the next level, supposed to step into that role and be the man, which he was the majority of this season, goes for 1,000 yards. And, you know, it's a wild weekend down there in New Orleans. There are a lot of people, and there are a lot of decisions being made, some good, some not good. And oftentimes, young people make awful decisions. And based on the reporting and what we can read, Malik Nabers just made a horrendous decision. I've been there. I've been a college kid. I've made awful decisions that put me in jail. So it just sometimes is part of it for young people. But Malik Nabers is a high-profile individual. He is a big name in this football program, and he obviously was down in New Orleans for Mardi Gras, and as you're reading the reports, look really, really bad. Possession of a firearm. Now he's been released from prison, and we'll see as details emerge here, but this is likely going to be a situation where Brian Kelly's got to make a decision on the discipline for one of his most high-profile players. And he'll have no doubt gather all the information, speak with as many people as he needs to speak with, and move forward. But quite frankly, and Taylor, catch me here if I'm overthinking something that's happened in the last year plus. I can't recall a significant legal issue with anybody in Brian Kelly's program that we could go back to and kind of see how he generally handles these things in Baton Rouge. Do you remember one? Again, this is 8 minutes old. We didn't have time to prep this at all. It breaks, and then we're on the air.
No, because, I mean, nobody got in trouble last year. I definitely don't remember anybody at Notre Dame, and I can't think of anybody at Cincinnati either. So,
well, I don't even need to go back that far. I'm certain something's happened somewhere along the lines when you coach for as long as he has, but I was thinking about here in Baton Rouge, and that's another one of those deals when you're looking at Matt McMahon year one in basketball, you're looking at Jay Johnson year two in baseball, Brian Kelly year 1.5, I guess, in football. Like, we don't have a long track record of how these guys handle certain things. And you kind of learn as you go on and you cover the team. But I can't remember, and Bayou 4 chat, you can help me out as well here. If you can remember anybody that if you remember anybody that got in trouble in the LSU's football program in the last year, and I can't recall. But it's just a poor decision here by Malik Nabers, and we'll see what the fallout is from it. Again, if you're just jumping in, just catching us a couple minutes late and missed the story, just came across the wire that LSU wide receiver Malik Nabers arrested down in New Orleans, booked into Orleans Parish Prison on a weapons charge. He did not have to post bond and was released of his own recognizance later this morning. So this all happening within the last 12 hours, then being booked at 2 o'clock in the morning and released a little bit later as we sit here just after 1 o'clock on this Fat Tuesday. So the last part of the report that WFB has put forward here says the LSU Athletics Department is aware of the arrest, but working to gather more details before releasing a statement. A source familiar with the matter told WAFB. So that's basically what always happens in these types of situations. You learn of the news, you get the public record of the booking into to prison, then it goes into full-scale gathering information mode, and you go ahead and you gather as much as you can, you determine what the outcome is, and you release a statement. And I'm certain that Brian Kelly and the LSU football staff will do so here in the next 24 hours, you would imagine. I don't know that statement that they release is going to be loaded with details about the fallout legally and standing with the university and the football team moving forward. I don't think you'll get that deep into the weeds right out of the chute, but I think that LSU will assess this entire thing. They'll speak with Malik and those who are around him and kind of figure out what they want to do from here. But just a poor decision by Malik Nabers to be carrying that around. It's fresh, it's new. I don't want it to speak out of turn here. It's just the state of our society at this point, and the nature of Mardi Gras and just how massive it is. We saw 5 people shot on St. Charles on Sunday, and I was on St. Charles until 4 o'clock that day. It's just it's unfortunate, it really is. But that's news that we wanted to certainly get to here as we start things up on this Fat Tuesday. Still got a lot to get to here over the next hour and 45 minutes plus. I'm excited to chat with Glenn West here at 1:30 from the box, kind of get some thoughts on the LSU baseball squad. I'm going to give you some thoughts on this LSU Southern game here briefly. We'll get a lineup here from LSU, I would imagine, in the next 10 or 12 minutes. In fact, it just came across. So I will give you, we'll take a time out here. We'll reset things. We'll come back. I'll give you my thoughts on Thatcher Hurd getting his first start in his LSU debut today, and then I'll give you the lineup that we just saw released on the Twitter machine. So come back with us on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've got that blue sky. I've got that sunshine.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls, Bands, and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne. Plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers. And Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th. Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. The #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening?
Join me, Jimmy Out and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Dozy Place on Government Street in the heart of Mid-City. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Happy Mardi Gras out there, everybody. If you're out on the route, hope you're enjoying a wonderful day. Warm temps here in Louisiana. Just enjoying a day off. Cheers to that. If you're on the grind like we are here, that's all right. We'll get you through it. Tigers and Southern matinee affair at the box coming up in about 50 minutes from right now. We'll chat with Glenn West in about 10 minutes about this matchup. He'll join us from the box. But I wanted to first give my thoughts on Thatcher Hurd, who will get the ball for LSU today. And that makes this game far more interesting to me. LSU and Southern on the diamond, sometimes not super competitive. But in this situation, Thatcher Hurd's LSU debut is a big deal. Jay Johnson said this explicitly last week. Said, for us to be as good as we need to be, as good as we can be as a team, Thatcher Hurd needs to find his way into the weekend rotation. They certainly brought him here for that reason. Thatcher Hurd was a big-time high school recruit, signed to UCLA, was not in their weekend rotation as a freshman to start the season last year, but because he threw the ball so well early in the season, worked his way to that end. Became maybe their best arm before he got hurt last year and had the back injury. Had two massive strikeout games where he struck out over 25 guys in two outings. Had a really strong outing against Arizona last year. It's a fastball that's 93 to 95. Good breaking ball. Can absolutely throw a changeup. Has real pitchability in his game. And the stuff's not terrible. It's good. It's just not quite the velocity that you'd see from Paul Skeens. But he's a guy that they're going to lean on. And quite frankly, he went out in his final start of the preseason scrimmages and got knocked around a little bit. And I think Wes Johnson saw something. They wanted to get to work. So in the middle of last week, they went through an extended bullpen session to get some work done. And that precluded him from being able to pitch in the weekend rotation over the weekend. He had worked too hard during the week in making some adjustments. So they're going to have to bump him back a little bit. And here we are on Tuesday, and he'll get the ball. And yes, I think we're all aware of what LSU sees next Tuesday. They'll be playing at Texas, and I think that this would line Thatcher Hurd up to start in that game as well. But I do think that it wasn't some sort of, we're blowing off Western Michigan, we're putting one of our best pitchers right here because he's got to face Texas. I think they had some things to work on with Thatcher Hurd last week, and I'm excited to see what the results are today. It doesn't mean much if you go out there and mow Southern down. This is not an SEC caliber lineup. I think we're aware of that. Southern had a great weekend over the weekend. They won all 3 games they played. Hat tip to them. They've always been a really, really competitive SWAC program. If LSU's going to get where they need to get on the back of Thatcher Hurd to some extent, what he does against Southern is not necessarily the greatest indicator of what it will or won't be. But I want to see the fastball life there. I want to see the command there. I want to see him pitch down in the zone. I want to see him mix breaking balls in. And I want to see him ring up strikeout totals against this team, quite frankly. So I'll be very, very much locked in on what Thatcher Hurd is doing in this game. That is a very, very interesting aspect of this one, because not often you see a guy make a midweek start this early in the season and you already have eyes that this guy is going to be able to move into the weekend rotation. Look, Aaron Nola made some midweek starts early in his freshman year. We had no idea what he was going to be. We've got a year of data on Thatcher Hurd at UCLA, not a year, but the first 6 weeks of the season to look at and go, this guy's got some incredible stuff. Need to work him into the weekend somehow, some way. Let's see what it looks like in this midweek game against Southern. So excited to see the big right-hander Thatcher Hurd on the mound today. The lineup has been posted. I will run through it here and then give you kind of my thoughts on it. One thing that's very, very glaring, Josh Pearson is going to lead off and play left field. Dylan Cruz will hit second and play center. Braden Jobert is the right fielder. He will hit third. Gavin Dugas is going to clean up and hit second, and play second. Trey Morgan is at first base in the 5-hole. Hitting 6th, Jared Jones, the designated hitter. Brady Neal will catch and hit 7th. Jordan Thompson, the shortstop, will hit 8th. And Ben Napolt is going to play third base and hit 9th. No Tommy White in the lineup today. He's still recovering from that injury that he suffered in the first inning back on Friday. The thing that stands out to me about this lineup, one, is that it's perfectly organized left, right, left, other than Napolt and Pearson hitting 9 and 1. But Pearson, left-handed, Cruz, right. Jobert, left-handed, Dugas, right. Morgan, left-handed, Jones, right. Neal, left-handed, Thompson, right. Napolt hitting left-handed. So clearly Jay is prioritizing that a little bit. And if you were listening to the show that I did last week when I was kind of tinkering with the lineup, I showed you just how many combinations you could throw out there. You could throw a 9 right-handed hitting, 1 left-handed bat being Trey Morgan in the lineup. You could put 6 left-handed bats and just 3 right-handed bats in the lineup. But it appears that Jay, early in the season, is going to stack it left, right, left. He did a lot of that over the weekend, and he's doing it again in this game. I can't tell you one single thing about Antoine Harris, the right-handed pitcher from Southern. My sincere guess, based on history between LSU and SWAC teams will not throw their highest velocity arms against LSU. Those guys usually throw 86, 87 miles an hour. That's a recipe for disaster. They like fastballs that clock in closer to 81, 82, and then breaking stuff that can be in the high 60s because it's just totally different to anything that LSU sees. I can't tell you if Antoine Harris does that or he doesn't. I have no idea. He may throw 95 for all I know. But usually the SWAC teams will put out a lineup, a starting pitcher that is a very much an off-speed specialist because that seems to give LSU and SEC teams that face 94, 95 far more often some serious timing issues. But good to see Gavin Dugas back in the lineup. Easier to play Gavin a lot right now because you can put Napolt or Merrifield at third and continue to get them at bats. I got asked a question today over on On3 on the On3 message board saying, hey, did Gavin kind of win the second base job over the weekend? And I said, look, it's a 56-game season. He had 2 good days against Western Michigan. That's not going to submit you into the lineup. I'm very hopeful that 2021 Gavin Dugas shows up for 4 months straight and stays healthy because that becomes a huge piece to LSU's offense. And what we saw him going 6 for 8 and hitting 2 home runs over the weekend is very encouraging, but it's Western Michigan and it's the middle of February. You got a long way to go. And Napolt needs at-bats. That's a guy who he drove in 4 runs without a hit over the weekend, and that's an aspect that LSU did a really good job in offensively, and DePaul was right in the middle of it, of advancing runners, getting the ball in play, and scoring guys from third base with less than 2 outs. So DePaul hit a couple of ground balls to the right side to score runs. He had a sac fly. I thought he did a really nice job of contributing the offense, even though he wasn't smashing balls off the wall. He was just doing a good job of contributing. So I'm thrilled that Napolt and Dugas can get at bats. Braden Jobert continues to play in the outfield. You don't see Paxton Kling in the lineup today. You see Jobert, who's playing right field, going to play defense, and that's a guy that we thought would probably do some DHing because he's not thought of as a great defensive player, but they want to get Jared Jones in there. He's starting for the 4th consecutive game, and Jobert's bat's too good to sit, so they're going to put him up there in the 3-hole. I love moving Cruz up to the 2-hole spot, and I love Josh Pearson hitting in front of Dylan Cruz. I'll be monitoring Josh Pearson over the next 3-4 weeks because by now you know the narrative. If you follow this at all, you know the narrative with Josh Pearson that he just has not swung the bat well since really they got off the field in Hattiesburg. He did not have a great summer. He did not have a good fall at all, and he hasn't had a really good 3 weeks entering, but he had a really nice freshman year. And so I can't think of anywhere in the country better to hit in terms of a spot in a lineup when you're trying to find some things than right in front of Dylan Cruz. And then you put Braden Jobert right behind there. There's some real thunder behind Josh Pearson. Hopefully he can find it offensively a little bit. He had 1 hit over the weekend. He did draw a couple of walks. He only struck out once in his 7 plate appearances. So he's putting the ball in play. He's working some counts. He drew a couple of walks. He did get a hit. It's these guys, and this was my point from yesterday as well. LSU's offense is going to be good just based on the legs of having Cruz, White when he comes back, Morgan, Thompson. Your everyday guys are good offensive players to elite offensive players, and that's going to make you a good offense. You become a machine, a force, a monster, whatever cliche you want to use, if Pearson and Jobert and Jones and Neal, if those guys, Dugas, if those guys become forces in your lineup, really tough outs and productive hitters, all of a sudden you now go 1 through 9. That's the goal, obviously. So loved what I saw from Jobert with 3 hits over the weekend. Loved what I saw with 6 hits from Dugas over the weekend. Loved what I saw from Jared Jones with 4 hits over the weekend. Loved what I saw from Brady Neal, who had 3 hits and scored 3 runs in 5 at-bats and had a couple of loud outs down out to the warning track. So, again, it's Western Michigan, and it's Southern, and it's not great opposition that you're seeing early in the season. But getting off to a good start, showing some confidence, and building the depth of that lineup is vital. And I want Tommy White back as quickly as he's healthy and ready to go. But if it's going to allow Napolt to get some ABs and Dugas get some ABs, maybe Merrifield to get some ABs early in the season to kind of jumpstart those guys, we'll take our time with Tommy White when he's ready to roll. And hopefully that's far sooner than later. So once again, today's lineup, Pearson, Cruz, Jobert, Dugas, Morgan, Jones, Neal, Thompson, and Napolt to face the right-hander from Antoine Harris. Thatcher Hurd will get the baseball for LSU on the mound. There's one other arm that I want to see from LSU today who we did not see over the weekend. I'm not sure where he slots in, but I'm hopeful that there's an inning or two that are available today, and that's Griffin Herring, the left-hander from Texas, freshman, who they are going to groom to become a starting pitcher in this program. The thought in the program is that Griffin Herring has a starter profile, a starter future in Baton Rouge. It's very likely not this year. I would be shocked if Griffin Herring became a weekend starter for this LSU baseball program. There are too many guys in front of him, and he's just learning. But I do think there are early season innings for him and the ability to get out there and throw it a little bit. I loved watching a lot of the guys that we saw over the weekend. I thought Christian Little was great. I thought Ty Floyd was great. There was a lot of really good on the mound this weekend, but Griffin Herring did not get a chance to go out there, and I just want to see what he's got. And hopefully LSU can get a lead today. Thatcher Hurd can give you 3, 4, 5 innings, whatever they have in mind for him today, and you can get Griffin Herring on the mound out there to to give you a little something. Aiden Moffitt was dealing with a little bit of a sore arm, so we'll see if he's available today. I don't think it's anything serious with him, but I don't know that you're going to see him in the game today. Herring is the one bullpen guy that I would definitely like to see in this game, and I would like to see him extend. I like to see guys giving you 2, 3, 4 innings at a time because you can never have too many of those guys. You never have too many guys who can come in and extend. That goes for trying to win games when you're maybe down or your starter doesn't have it that day, and that goes into SEC tournament play, and that goes into regional play, and it even goes into Omaha if you get into the losers bracket and you've got to win multiple games over a 2 or 3 game sample size. Having multiple guys that can go out there and stretch instead of just trying to pull anybody you can possibly find to get you 4 outs here, 5 outs here, which is what it felt like a lot of last year. Okay, how many pitches did he throw yesterday? Can he come back and give us another 20 today, or does he need to sit down? And how many did that guy throw because our starters only threw 5 innings total for the weekend? And that kind of stuff just really wears at a staff, pitching staff, and a coaching staff, and it just compromises your team, quite frankly. So if you can have 6 or 7 guys who are very comfortable going 4 innings at a time, you make yourself a tougher out come postseason time, SEC tournament and NCAA tournament. So I like to see Griffin Herring pitch today. That's kind of my number one focus outside of what the actual lineup says as of right this second. So curious to see what old Griffin Herring can do if he's tabbed to go today. LSU and Southern from the box. It's a matinee, 2 o'clock first pitch. If you want to listen, 1:30 pregame show. It's Doug Thompson, the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, over on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Glenn West covers the Tigers for Go 247. He is at the box right now. We will go there next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana like Simone Malaz. Simone has dedicated her career to protecting Louisiana's coast and helping the state take a leading role on the world stage in environmental restoration. Louisiana's critically important working coast hosts 2.5 million people and supports infrastructure like highways, ports, pipelines that fuel the country's economy. And that's why Simone has dedicated her career to protecting Louisiana's coast as the executive director of Restore or Retreat. That makes Simone a champion of Louisiana. Maybe you know a person like Simone who's doing great work in our state. Maybe you know a nonprofit or a business who continues to impact our state in a positive way. LWCC wants to tell those stories, and they allow us to do it. So go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate someone or nonprofit to be a champion of Louisiana. Simone Malaz is February's champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana loyal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on select new 2022 Ford F-150 trucks. $10,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true for Black and Latino women. Be the one in your family to help change this statistic by taking the American Heart Association's challenge to learn CPR. Be the beat for someone you love. You can make a difference when it matters most. Go to heart.org today to take the CPR challenge and save lives.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Saturday at 1 p.m. as the Baylor Bears host the Texas Longhorns. Then Saturday night, the Philadelphia 76ers host the Boston Celtics at 7:30. And Sunday, the Milwaukee Bucks host the Phoenix Suns at noon. Right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Come on, baby, let the good time roll. Come on, baby, let me thrill your soul. Come on, baby, let the good time roll.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Happy Mardi Gras, everybody. If you're headed out to the box to celebrate, enjoy. Tigers and Southern, 2 o'clock first pitch. We head out to the box now. Glenn West is there. Glenn, the baseball program treats y'all to some king cake in the press box or what?
I actually haven't walked into the press box. I'm sitting in my car right now, but I'm looking at a pretty festive Mardi Gras scene here at the box. I bet there's probably going to be their biggest crowd yet today. It looks pretty packed.
Awesome. I got inside sources, one being Max Gotro, who just got out of this chair and left, said he just drove by the box and the wind is howling out to dead center, which is not surprising considering the temperatures today. That wind comes out of the south. It usually warms things up a little bit. But before we get to LSU and Southern today, just kind of your biggest takeaway from the weekend that was for the baseball team.
Yeah, I mean, the pitching staff, I think, is what stands out first and foremost. I mean, Paul Skeens looks every bit the Friday night ace that you were hoping he would be. I think you're going to win a lot of Friday nights with him as your starting pitcher on to start weekends. Really impressed with Ty Floyd and Christian Little out of the bullpen. I thought Riley Cooper really took home that Saturday spot well and filled in nicely there. And I think probably the biggest takeaway with the staff is that they could be versatile with how they use this starting rotation. I don't think you're going to have a fixed starting lineup throughout the entire season with Skeens, Cooper, and Chase Shores. I think you can probably mix things up based on matchups, and that's a really good problem for Wes Johnson and Jay Johnson to have.
We'll stick with the pitching staff. I'll just ask you pretty bluntly, what do you think Riley Cooper's role is going to be on this team?
Yeah, I think it'll be versatile like last year. I think you could see him start some games. I think you could see him be a useful tool out of the bullpen. I think he's going to be a jack of all trades really for LSU this year as their best lefty. I mean, they've got Nate Ackenhausen, who had a really nice weekend as well in his debut. But Cooper is the guy that I think you can really feel safe with any role that you put him in, that he's going to get outs and not surrender a ton of runs. So I think he's going to be an every weekend kind of guy, whether that's as a starter or out of the bullpen. I think remains to be seen because I think there's a lot of other talented pitchers that they like. But he certainly showed, I think, a lot of people just what he's made of in that starting role.
What'd you make of Chase Shores on Sunday?
Yeah, up and down with the command, but I mean that's not to be unexpected with a true freshman. I think the talent really screams at you when he's out on the field, and I mean he went still 3 1/3 with I think only with no runs allowed, and he had gotten some trouble there, in his last inning. But he had Dutton come in and really create and get him out of that situation with only 1 run surrendered. So I think he's a guy you're going to use. I think he's a guy that's going to be probably in and out of the starting lineup as well. But I've liked him. I mean, going back to fall, he's been one of the more consistent guys for them. And he can get a hold of his command a little bit better in future outings, I think he's a guy that you can absolutely count on as an SEC starter.
I believe Brady Neal started all 3 games and is in the starting lineup today. If that's right, does that surprise you?
No, I mean, I think probably the only thing that surprises me is just how quickly he's adapted to being the go-to guy. I mean, to have a left-handed hitter as a catcher and be able for him to make this kind of impact defensively so early in his career, no blemishes, in terms of pass balls or balls going off of his equipment or anything. He did a really nice job behind the plate this weekend, and is a guy that will hit probably around 300 this year for you if you think he can kind of get a stranglehold on this job. It's just been really impressive overall first weekend for him, and I'm excited to see what he does moving forward.
I was thrilled for Gavin Dugas over the weekend. We know he's been in Baton Rouge a long time and has really fought it with injuries over the last year and a half, and to see him bust out in the opening weekend, what did you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, 6 for 8 at the plate. Played really well in his 2 starts at second base. Didn't commit any errors. There were no errors at all from this group over the weekend, which I think was a really positive sign. But, yeah, Gavin's just a pro. I mean, he's a pro at the college level, and he's been doing it a long time now and has kind of undertaken a lot of different roles with teams in the past, and so he kind of knows what to expect. And I think he's just going to be a really calming influence here for LSU as one of the leaders of this team, and a guy that I think you can count on to maybe get back to that form that he was in a couple of years ago, where it seemed like he was really the most clutch hitter on this group 2 years ago.
Anything you didn't like over the weekend?
Not particularly. I mean, the offense was patient. I think people were quick to jump on kind of you didn't see the big crooked numbers there a lot from the offense this weekend, and I certainly kind of chalked that up to maybe more of just you were facing the same guys for several months, and it takes you a little bit of time to rewire and get used to some of the slower fastballs. I think you could certainly see that they were out in front of some pitches, but I think that'll all come in due time, and they'll get that corrected as the season goes on. But really no blemishes. I mean, I would say you probably like to see Bryce Collins get out of that rough start for him, but outside of that, I thought it was a pretty flawless weekend from the Tigers.
That's your herd today. What are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean they've been messing with some stuff with his mechanics, I think, and they feel good about where he's at now. I think he's going to be a guy that you can count on as a starter, and certainly they're starting to hear in the midweek. But I think if he has a good outing today, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if you see him start next week against Texas. That might be a kind of a reason that they decided to hold him out this weekend. You throw him a couple innings today, and you can have that big bullet ready when you go and face Texas next week in the midweek. So I'm just excited to see what he's got. I mean, I've only seen him once, in the spring and a couple times in the fall. I think he's got a fastball that's around 95, 96. So they've got a lot of those guys this year, a lot of guys that can throw with some heat, and I'm excited to see what he does.
LSU and Southern coming your way here from the box in about 25 minutes. Briefly, I feel like a missed opportunity to get a win over the weekend for LSU basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I went to that game on Saturday thinking it would probably be their best chance, and they never led in the game. And when you're not leading in the game with a 2-win team in conference play, that goes to show you that you're in a really, really bad spot. So I do think that you've got Vanderbilt tomorrow, who's won 5 straight. I wouldn't expect a win there either. It's just any kind of win moving forward, I think would be a happy surprise. But this team is no doubt in the doghouse right now with confidence, and you just don't really see a way out. So I think it's just getting to the end of this thing, and see if you can hold on to a couple of those young guys and reassess and retool the lineup for next year.
Did you hear anything after the game that led you to think that way? Because I feel like Adam Miller said so many really good things even during all this tough times, and I feel like the guys have really played hard, but at some point weighing on a 20, 21-year-old mind when you've lost every game for 6 weeks, there could be a breaking point.
Yeah, I mean, we talked to Cam Hayes after the game, and it was just he was really down. I mean, you hate to kind of rag on a team when in those situations, but he was pretty blunt in just how sucky the kind of environment is around the team right now, and how they just got to get out of it in some kind of way and kind of find some little positive wins, some positive momentum, and he couldn't really seem to find it. And so that's, I think that's just kind of where their heads are at right now. They're in a really tough spot, but there's still a couple weeks here to, squeeze out a couple wins maybe and kind of feel a little bit better about yourself going into the off season. But this is a team that's no doubt low on confidence.
Enjoy the game this afternoon, Glenn. We'll talk soon.
All right, Hunt. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Glenn West, go 247 for all your LSU recruiting and coverage needs. Glenn will be up at the box for LSU and Southern coming up. Let me expound on that a little bit because it's personally put me let me rephrase. It's been difficult for me to speak about the LSU basketball team over the last 2 weeks or so because I can't come on the air and tell you how much they're improving and how things look so much better and pull these 5 or 6 positives. And I can't, that's just not really there. And if I do anything even remotely close to that, you lose all credibility sitting in this chair. And you're not going to be in a position to sit here and, rag on the players. And I feel bad for the coaches that this is the situation that they're in. And you certainly don't want to sit here and pile on. Now, it's a relevant sport. We're going to cover it. We're going to talk about it. It's one of the 4 main teams that we talk about on these airways. It's LSU football, LSU basketball, LSU baseball, and the Saints. Those are the 4 main ones, and the Pelicans too, but to a lesser extent, I think. We're going to talk about the basketball team, and it's just difficult. I have not been quite in this situation because I was on the morning show. It was Jordy Collada and myself on Off the Bench in the morning when Johnny Jones' team, his last team, just bottomed out. But that was the end. And you knew what was coming. You knew that they were going to run out the rope, they were going to fire the coach, and they were going to start with a new basketball coach. This doesn't feel like that. This is year 1 of a new coach. And this is an era of so much uncertainty about the near future of any basketball program because it's so heavily reliant on the transfer portal. So it doesn't do you any good to just dive into just what high school players do they have. Well, no one feels a team that just has high school players. Everyone's team is loaded with transfers. So it's not a tough spot. It's just a puzzling spot from a content production standpoint. Which way to talk about this team? My overwhelming emotion about this current basketball season is that I feel awful for the players who continue to go out there and lose basketball games. Like, that sucks. There are more important things in life, but at this current juncture, that feels like the most important thing. And you go out there and time again, no matter the effort level, the result is the same. That's just not fun. And from my perspective, again, it's tough to sit here and tell you all the great things that are right around the corner because they're not evident. And I'm certainly not going to jump and pile on why they continue to lose games because I'm not going to attack player by player and what the flaws are. I think it's just evident to everyone who's paying attention that, man, this isn't quite good enough. And right now the results are what they are, and you're in last place in the league. That's just not a place LSU is in any sport ever very often. So it's just stinks. And certainly baseball here to take the sting out of that a little bit. And Kim Mulkey's team's playing great ball, and that's awesome. And Beth Serena's team's off to a really nice start. And there are other positive storylines to get to, but basketball's tough to chat about right now on these airwaves. All right, when we come back, LSU football has made a change in its staff. I'll tell you what that is next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathandClosets.com is the website. Just go to OneBathandClosets.com. Check out the testimonials. Check out the pictures. Give it a look. This could be something that changes the functionality and appearance of your home. It's not an awesome time to move right now for everybody. If you want to stay put, but you want to improve your living area, what better place to start than your bathroom? One Bath and Closets can be your one-stop shop to a full-scale bathroom renovation. It's one call, one company. It's One Bath and Contractors. Don't have to deal with 6 different contractors to try to get your bathroom looking the way that you want it to look. No. David Duvall and his team have been doing this for 30 years. They can help you. Maybe it's a full-scale renovation. Maybe it's just a tub-to-shower conversion. And on the closet side of things, if you've got clutter, you got no room, you can't find anything, got the cell phone flashlight out early in the morning trying to find your clothes and everything's bunched up, let David Duvall and his team come in, give you a free consultation, and tell you what they can do for you to customize a closet to your lifestyle. And if you tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you, no charge for the rip out of your current closet, no charge for the labor on the installation of a new one. They're just going to charge you for the cost of that unit. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. OneBathAndClosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit. We get it done with passion for our fans and love for our community. We are the Tigers. Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring, wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
I've got that blue sky. I've got that sunshine.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Women who suffer from cardiac.
This is Mario Jerez. Join us for Wednesdays Off the Bench as Carter the Power Bryant will be in the co-host, and we talk about sports and sports-related items. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The big red span, hear them blow as they go to the Mardi Gras. See the leader wave to you happy days. Hallelujah, lucky to be standing where you are.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So if you missed the news regarding LSU's coaching staff today, the report was that LSU has made a move to shift Brian Polian away from recruiting coordinator and special teams coach to basically the general manager of the football program. He will be an off-the-field coach, and they will look to tab a new special teams coach. I expect that to happen within the next 48 hours from right now. I think Frank Wilson's role inside recruiting will grow. Because Brian Polian no longer recruiting coordinator. He's kind of the GM that's going to deal with the transfer portal and all the player acquisition. And, you know, on one hand, this is a guy that Brian Kelly implicitly trusts in terms of roster management with recruiting, with now the transfer portal, with just putting the roster together. He believes that Brian Polian is a huge asset to his program, and that's why I thought it was very, very unlikely that he would change special teams coaches, because I think he figured that's a guy I need to have around. And I know that the special teams play was endlessly frustrating, and that's fair. And I had he was the last guy of the regular season that I did a assistant coach interview. Every week I interview a different assistant coach for like 3 minutes for the pregame show. I record them on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and then we play it for you on pregame on Saturday. And I asked look, I'm working for the LSU Sports Radio Network. I'm not in there trying to do a hit piece on the special team. So I said, how would you characterize your team's development over the course of the season? Is how I phrased it to Brian Polian. He said, let's be frank, it hasn't been good enough. It just hasn't been good. He knew. It wasn't like he was defiant, like the engine's pretty stinking good. He knew the special teams weren't good enough, and part of that is on coaching. I think the fact that LSU was so poor at covering kicks and was consistently getting penalties, and I think a lot of things that happen on special teams directly point back to the coach. Now, I think the kids are coached not to hold. I think they're coached not to run off sides on the kickoff, and some of that stuff I have a hard time blaming the coach for, and I certainly am not going to blame the coach because Malik Nabers and Jack Besh couldn't catch kicks. That's not the coach's fault. Those are two of the most trustworthy guys on the entire team in terms of catching the football, and they didn't do it in special team spots. And I hear people yell and scream and gnash their teeth and say that special team sucks, Polian, terrible, awful, can't catch the ball. It's like, it's not like he put some guy back there who is known for not being able to catch the ball. He put some of the most trusted hands in gold helmets back there, and they just didn't make plays. But the compounding of the issues game after game after game eventually have to circle back. And Brian Polian had some really good special teams units at Notre Dame. He did not last year. So a new face, new ideas, new leadership in that part of the game, I think, is a welcome thing for LSU. And I think Brian Polian has a spot on this staff because he's got some talent on the football side of things, especially with putting together a roster, which is why when Brian Kelly knew he was up against the clock, he was taking over a job that needed an overhaul of the roster in the worst way. That's the first guy he brought on staff. So I know it's very, very popular to say this guy's awful, fire Polian, all that. Look, he's got value. He is a human being with a job. And I think it's great that now both parties can kind of move forward in a good situation. LSU can get a coach in here to maybe do some things differently on special teams, and Brian Polian can still earn his living by doing what he is best at in Brian Kelly's eyes, and that is putting together a roster. So for those of you that have been clamoring and yelling and screaming for new special teams directions since we walked out of the Superdome back in August, you've got it. Brian Polian is going to be moved to the GM, and they're going to go ahead and get a new special teams coach. And as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, I expect that announcement to come very, very quickly. I think it'll come within the next 48 hours. You'll know who LSU special teams coach is. Certainly by the weekend, I think that will become public information. So looking forward to talking about that and where Brian Kelly can go with special teams, because certainly LSU's got to do a much, much, much better job handling that next football season. LSU and Southern going to get underway here in about 8 minutes from Alec Box Stadium. Got a little uni check for you here. LSU in the purples with the pinstripe bottoms and purple hats. Obviously, Southern going with gray pants. They got the baby blues on out at the box today, and we were just talking with Glenn West in the previous segment, and Glenn said based on the arrival when he was parking at the ballpark and kind of looking around that it should be a pretty sizable crowd. Which would you imagine? School's out, a lot of people not working today. Weather is warm and comfortable for this time of year, and we got baseball out at the box, so hopefully a good crowd, a good environment, and the Tigers can go out there and play an excellent game. Thatcher Hurd will get the baseball for LSU, and then he'll have a pretty standard lineup right behind him. It's not like they're playing a bunch of young guys or new guys. They're going with kind of their best nine, they think, in this game today. So if you're looking to find this one, you can find it on the radio over on our sister station, Eagle 98.1, but we're going to be here for the next hour just talking about some different things outside of baseball. We'll keep you posted on the scores for those that want to hang out with us and listen. We'll keep you posted on the score as things happen over the next hour, but we'll also dive into a little bit of SEC basketball, some LSU basketball, and a little bit of what else do we have in the second hour? Oh, yeah. NFL free agency, quarterback market, and some potential landing spots for some quarterbacks. I'll let you know if I think it does or doesn't make sense. We'll certainly play some take it or leave it as well. Matthew Bruni of the Bengal Tiger on 3. Going to talk some hoops with us at 2 o'clock. That's coming up here right after Sports. And if you missed any of the show today, you can always catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab. All our shows are listed there on the on-demand tab. Click any of them. All the sound is uploaded there each and every day. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Google. Wherever you find your audio, you can find 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge and The Hunt Palmer Show. Always appreciate it if you like, subscribe, rate, review. Folks hanging out on YouTube, always appreciate y'all. Open the Bayou Ford chat. Throw us a like if you would. Gets our content in front of more eyeballs on the YouTube side of things, which we are always looking to do. Started the show talking about Malik Nabers, LSU wide receiver, who was arrested reportedly over the night over in New Orleans. He was released at his own recognizance a little bit earlier. Talked LSU baseball with Southern Glenn West of Go 247. And a little LSU football to finish things up. Hope your Mardi Gras is going awesome. We'll be back right after Sports Center talking with Matthew Burney of the Bengal Tiger on 3 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Rocking out of their shoes. Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls, Bands, and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman.
Rockin' a hard place.
With Timothy Wayne, plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on select new 2022 Ford F-150 trucks. $10,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Start your day with news and newsmakers. Start your day with traffic, weather, and local stories that are important to you. Kickstart your day every day. Mornings with Brian Haldane from 6 to 9 a.m. Weekdays on Talk 107.3.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true for Black and Latino women. Be the one in your family to help change this statistic by taking the American Heart Association's challenge to learn CPR. Be the beat for someone you love. You can make a difference when it matters most. Go to heart.org today to take the CPR challenge and save lives.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The next chapter for one of the most intriguing stories this NFL offseason is about to be written with the franchise tag window open. It involves a marquee name, Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. The Ravens could put the exclusive or non-exclusive tag on Jackson as the sides try to work out a long-term contract. Baltimore really, though, has only one option here, believes our Keyshawn Johnson.
Best thing for them to do, though, is try to figure out how to get the deal done, man. I understand you don't want to spend $230 million, whatever the case is, but get close enough. Get close enough to that guaranteed money, put some incentives in there that's makeable, likely to be earned, and then we can go from there.
He of Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. NBA Nets coach Jacques Vaughn has agreed to a multi-year extension. The deal is expected to keep him under contract through the 2026-2027 season, according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Bulls point guard Lonzo Ball, dealing with a persistent knee injury, has been ruled out for the remainder of the season. NHL Avalanche star defenseman Cale Makar back in concussion protocol. He's expected to miss at least the next 2 games.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Happy Mardi Gras. Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hope your Fat Tuesday going great. Whether you are out on a route, taking the day off, or on the grind. Appreciate you hanging out with us, LSU and Southern, underway from the box just momentarily on a little midweek matinee between the two Capital City baseball clubs. Matthew Bruni covers the Tigers for the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 Network. He joins us via the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Matthew, thanks for the time. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Like you said, it's Fat Tuesday, but still over here trying to get some work done and trying to stay on top of everything LSU because things keep happening.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Before we get to some basketball, which is the point of chatting with you, your thoughts on Brian Polian being shifted off the field to kind of a GM role and LSU moving in a different direction in terms of special teams?
Yeah, I think overall it makes sense. I am surprised that it took 2 months after the season to kind of get to this point. I thought if they were going to do it, they would have moved on by now, but I'm sure they have their reasoning to take their time with it. But I think at the end of the day, it is the right decision. I think Brian Polian, to a degree, I'm sure, is content to move into that role because that is what he does really, really well. That's what he's done really well for LSU. I mean, from the transfer portal to the recruiting classes, he's had his hand in everything when it comes to building this team.
The concept of the general manager is not brand new. Austin Thomas did it early in his time here at LSU and kind of has made a career doing that other places in college football. Do you think that position is going to come more prevalent, being that it's a constant state of flux with the entire roster 365 days a year?
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's kind of the purpose and the role of him, of having a guy like that, because every offseason is complete free agency. I mean, it is players going in, players coming out. And if you don't have somebody tracking all of that, it can get hard to keep pace nowadays. So I think Brian Polian has proven over now, 1.5 off seasons that he's very equipped to find players that fit Brian Kelly's style of coaching and the scheme and the coordinators. So I think if anything, it'll help him focus on that even more and kind of excel in that role moving forward.
Matthew Bruni, part of the On3 Network with the Bengal Tiger over there on 3 Sports. I had Glenn West on in the last hour, and we were kind of chatting about basketball briefly, and just how difficult this is on 18 to 22-year-old kids to go through a 6 weeks period where you don't win a single basketball game. You've been around these guys in post-game press conferences or in midweek media availability. How heavy do you think this has become?
Yeah, I mean, Glenn and I talk about it all the time. I mean, it is really tough. I mean, it's tough for us to cover, let alone, I mean, for the players. After the game, I don't know if Glenn brought this up, but I mean, it's like Cam Hayes was tearing up at the post-game presser last time after their loss. So it's just, it's really, really hard, and it's easy for people to be like, oh, this team sucks, like, you know, just get rid of everybody and so on and so forth. But it's not like they've quit, and it's not like you're in the NBA where you're tanking for a draft pick. Like, it's teams going out trying to win every single game. South Carolina is doing the same thing, and, you know, they come up short. This team just is devoid of a lot of things right now, and I think we knew it pretty early into the season. We hoped they had turned it around after the Arkansas win, but at the end of the day, this team always kind of was what it was, which it is a rebuilding team and a rebuilding program for a coach that knew it was going to be a rebuild.
One of the things that you wrote over at the Bengal Tiger part of the on 3 was talking about the emergence of Sean Phillips and kind of his increased playing time and the potential that he's showing. What have you seen from the young freshman?
Yeah, I'm really excited about Sean Phillips' future. Now, obviously, with transfer portal, you got to keep him here. That's the main goal. I think they've done a good job of getting these freshmen playing time over the past few weeks, which is huge. Because, you know, for any player, for any young player, you look at a team that's not winning, and they always think they can contribute. So, you know, give them a chance, give them opportunity on the floor. You have nothing to lose at this point. So Sean Phillips has been a huge revelation for this team. It has resulted in wins, but I think I wrote in his last 39 minutes, he has 17 rebounds and 4 blocks. I mean, it is something that this team struggled with all year, which is rim protection, which is a lob threat, which is rebounding. So hopefully, I mean, he's already taken Kendall Coleman's minutes. You hope next year with, if Coleman and KJ are gone, you at least have him as a formidable guy, whether that is a starter, whether that's coming off the bench. I could see him having a very, very big role next year.
Do you think that Matt McMahon has shifted some playing time to the freshmen in a program-building move as opposed to a, hey, we really need to win this game tonight type move?
I think it's tough because I think that you can do both, and I think he has done both because the upperclassmen haven't been any good. So it's just like, as much as we like Cam Hayes, who had a really, really good game against South Carolina, 25 points. I mean, Adam Miller, you know, Justice Hill, those guys have been very, very inconsistent. So you get Tyrell Ward more minutes in there. I mean, he's been starting for the past however many games. Jalen Reed, you know, was a starter early in the season, lost his minutes, but now is back firmly as the backup 4. And then we talked about Sean Phillips. So I think Sean Phillips is definitely better than Kendall Coleman. So it's a little bit of both. I think there's upside to playing these guys, which he realizes. But at the end of the day, I mean, the guys who have the upperclassmen have not been getting it done. So why not give these freshmen a chance?
How big of a missed opportunity was Saturday when you get a 2-win team coming into the PMAC?
Oh, it was huge. It was that was kind of the one. People were like, all right, well, at least beat South Carolina at home. And South Carolina comes out and hits, I think it was, 15 threes?
Yep.
And just kind of sprayed it from all over the court. And that one hurt. You know, they have Ole Miss, they have Vanderbilt left, so you hope you can get one of those. But at the end of the day, whether you win 2 games, whether you win 1 game, it doesn't really matter. I mean, except for, I guess, morale's sake for that day. But yeah, the South Carolina game was really, really deflating. I mean, the crowd was non-existent, which, I mean, I'm not blaming them because
sure,
I wouldn't have been there either if it wasn't my job.
No, for sure. It's that was a bummer, and I kind of went on a very unprofessional, whiny rant about it yesterday. But at least I acknowledged that it was unprofessional and whiny in the middle of it. That's the way I felt, and I had the microphone open, and that's what we were going to do. Yep. So there it is. Yep. We'll continue to check in with you over the next couple of weeks, Matthew. Thanks for your time.
Yep, thanks, Matt.
Is Matthew Bruni, part of the Bengal Tiger over on 3 with Shay Dixon and Billy Embody. I'm writing some baseball things for them every Monday over there, and they do a phenomenal job over there at the Bengal Tiger. So if you got any interest, come on over. Just jump on in. The water's fine. We have a lot of fun over on the message board over there. Matthew does an awesome job. He wrote, as I mentioned, a great piece on Sean Phillips. He uses some GIFs from the actual game time, pulls the film down, kind of talks you through it. And Phillips has been a bright spot because he's 7 feet tall. He can jump and move and has been a little bit more active over the last couple of weeks. So again, I mentioned this in the last hour. I'm not trying to sit here and tell you how phenomenal this team is playing and how great things have been in terms of improvement. But when there is a bright spot, there's reason to point it out. And I think Sean Phillips has been that for LSU's basketball program. Speaking of basketball, tonight, SEC action, some pretty important ones for a couple teams around the league. And as we've done the last couple of Tuesdays, I'm going to give you some gambling picks, and we'll check the results on Friday. I'm on a heater. It's a little bit over 500, but that's a heater. I'll give you my picks next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne. Plus 2-time PBR World Champion Chris Shivers. And Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th. Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. The #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true for Black and Latino women. Be the one in your family to help change this statistic by taking the American Heart Association's challenge to learn CPR. Be the beat for someone you love. You can make a difference when it matters most. Go to heart.org today to take the CPR challenge and save lives.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience.
It's Musso. Join us for Tuesday's AFR. I'm in for Matt again. We'll have updates from the box as LSU takes on Southern and any movement with Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints. It's Tuesday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
A bit of a bumpy start for Thatcher Hurd. LSU right-hander as he walks a couple in the Southern first, but does bow his neck after a mound visit from Wes Johnson and snapped off a couple of really nice breaking balls, one for a called strike three, one for a swinging strike three, and he gets out of the jam with a pair of punch-outs. Hopefully found a little rhythm there in the top of the first inning, and he can settle in and get you a few more innings of work. The stuff is great with Herb, but you got to throw it over the plate, and he did not early in that inning. A couple of walks resulted from it. Big day in SEC men's basketball this evening. Some huge games for different teams for different reasons. The biggest game in terms of the ranking matchup and the profile of the teams is Tennessee headed to College Station to play Texas A&M. Tennessee is 9-5 in the league all of a sudden, kind of scuffling in a big way. Texas A&M has played great basketball for the last 2 months, and the Aggies are 2.5-point favorite in this game. Look, it's a huge game for both teams. It's an opportunity for Tennessee to go on the road against a good team and right the ship. I think it's possible that Josiah Jordan James and Julian Phillips can play in this game, and you're looking at a team that's lost 4 of 6 after such a strong start. And you can get a big road win for Texas A&M. It's an opportunity for another resume-boosting win. And right now, you're not looking at an A&M team that's in any trouble of missing the NCAA tournament, I think. But this cements them another big-time win. And so I don't have any way to bet against Texas A&M here. They're given only 2.5 points. It's going to be a sellout at Reed. They're playing much better than Tennessee is playing. So, sure, is there a scenario here where Tennessee's defense shows up and they kind of throw a blanket on Texas A&M, who doesn't shoot it great, and it's a low-scoring game and Tennessee gets away from them late and wins it by 6 or 8 points? Sure, I can see it, but I'm certainly not going to wager that way. I would wager that Texas A&M would win this game by 10, the way that these two games are playing. And it's a 2.5-point number. So, to me, give me Texas A&M. I'll lay the points. I think they handle Tennessee with relative, not with Alabama over Vanderbilt 60-point ease, but relative ease in this game. I think they win it by 8 to 10 points. I'll take Texas A&M and lay the 2.5. The other 6 o'clock game on the SEC Network is Mississippi State at Missouri. Huge game for these two, according to Joe Lunardi. He's got Mississippi State in as an 11 and Missouri in as a 10. Now, Missouri has the easiest remaining schedule you can almost conjure up in SEC play. They've got, after this one, they've got a road game at Georgia, road game at LSU, and they come home to Ole Miss. The way Georgia's playing right now has been really bad. LSU has 1 league win, has lost 14 in a row, and Ole Miss is just as bad. So the finish for Missouri is very, very encouraging. Mississippi State's got a little bit more work to do, but tonight they could go on the road and get a nice win over Missouri. It's not as good as going to beat Tennessee or maybe even Kentucky, certainly Bama, but going on the road and beating Missouri would be impressive for Chris Jans' team, which has been really, really solid. They've won 7 6 of 7 to this point. They finished with A&M, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt. So I have trouble with Missouri and kind of gauging what team's going to come out when I'm thinking about these with point spreads. Am I going to get the team that's going to start 7 of 11 from 3, or am I going to get the team that can't throw it in the ocean? That's the double-edged sword that is the high-volume three-point shooting team. Missouri can sometimes go in the deep freeze, and Mississippi State's got really good defense. So I will take Mississippi State. I will take the 3.5 points at Missouri and kind of hold my nose a little bit, because I'm well aware that if Missouri gets hot shooting the basketball in this game, Mississippi State cannot keep up. If Missouri gets this thing cooking and gets, north of 78 points, gets somewhere around 82 points, I don't think Mississippi State can keep up. But Missouri's small. Mississippi State is big. Missouri's going to try to spread Mississippi State out and drive them and shoot the threes. It's just a matter of whether the shots go in or not. And I have no real way to figure out what's going to happen. So I'll take Mississippi State. The defense feels like a surer thing than the three-pointer, but I'm well aware that could get sideways in a hurry. And the last game is really big for one team and not big at all for another, and that's obviously because one has tournament aspirations and the other does not. Arkansas is at home against Georgia. Now, you look at these two teams, and you see a Georgia team that's 6-8 in the league and an Arkansas team that's 7-7, so only one game separates them. However, they're viewed wildly differently by the selection committee. If Arkansas loses this game to Georgia tonight, they will miss the NCAA tournament. We've reached that point in the calendar where I can look at this game and say, if you lose this game to a pretty poor Georgia team, and I look at the rest of your resume plus the schedule that's upcoming, and I'll get to that in a second, Arkansas will miss the tournament if they lose tonight. Now, they're a 14-point favorite. So there's no reason they should lose to a bad Georgia team in Bud Walton Arena. But if they do, that goose is cooked. Because Arkansas's last 3 games, which I've been harping on for 2 weeks now, but it's here now. Arkansas's got Georgia at home tonight. Then here's what's left. At Bama, at Tennessee, home Kentucky. You lose tonight, you might lose your last 4 games. And that ain't making the tournament. Nick Smith is back. He played extended minutes over the weekend. That's a plus for Arkansas, assuming they can get him up to speed by SEC tournament and NCAA tournament time, and they're still alive. But they better win tonight. Because if you lose tonight, they are not making the NCAA tournament. The number is 14. I will take Arkansas. I think Georgia's awful. I think Arkansas understands their back is against the wall. I think Arkansas has got an exceptional coach, and he will get it out of them tonight. So will the crowd at Bud Walton. I think it'll be loud. I think it'll be energetic. I think they understand the magnitude of the situation, and they'll come out and play great. Just drive it. Don't pull up and wait for shoot threes. Just do what you do, Arkansas. You go to the rim. Ricky Council, Nick Smith, Devo Davis. Don't settle for threes. Go to the rim. Georgia, not good. LSU in Athens last week had a shot. Didn't quite get it done. So if you're keeping score at home with my SEC basketball wagers, I know that there cannot possibly be anyone out there that's still fading me. Certainly, I've won you over at this point with my white-hot 2 weeks of betting that's somewhere in the neighborhood of about 3 games over 500. I will take the Aggies, lay the 2.5 against Tennessee. I will take Mississippi State on the road, catching 3.5. And I will take Arkansas inside Bud Walton Arena, laying 14 points. Those are my selections for this evening. We will be watching intently over at Pluckers. If you're looking for something to do tonight, kind of looking to finish off this Mardi Gras break, maybe get out of the house, Pluckers on Nicholson. We got sports trivia each and every Tuesday. We have a great time. Grab a team. You can come individually and play, but grab a team. We start at 8:30. I'll have you out of there before 10 o'clock. It's 5 rounds, live action sports trivia. Every round's got a first place and a second place, $15 for first place, $5 for second. You win 3 rounds or so, can collect some some nice Pluckers change, all the while enjoying some great drinks, great food, and we watched a lot of hoops over there on our Tuesday night. So Tuesday night, Nicholson location of Pluckers Sports Trivia tonight. Very, very much looking forward to that. See if we're in commercial or not. We are not in commercial, so I can get you a score update from LSU and Southern over at the box. They are playing in the top of the second inning. We are scoreless from the box. Come back with us. 30 minutes left to go on this Tuesday. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford. Check out the inventory, BayouFord.com. Every new purchase at Bayou Ford, 1 million mile powertrain warranty. For the life of that vehicle, you will have it under warranty. Check out the website. As inventory rolls in and moves out, they update it. So you'll understand what is on the lot when you check out BayouFord.com. If you've got exactly what you want, whether it's a Mustang, Bronco, Explorer, Expedition, maybe it's the F-150. If they've got what you want, perfect. Call Ben Gagne and his team, say, hey, this is what I'm looking for, let's do it. If they don't, which can happen in an era where these car lots are not exactly slammed, let them customize the vehicle for you. You wait on everything else to be delivered to your house. How about a car? In 60 to 90 days, they'll have that car turned around and driven right to you. That's the Bayou to you guarantee. They'll drive the car and the paperwork right to your front door. You sign it, you're done. That car is yours, and it comes with that 1 million mile powertrain warranty. BayouFord.com is the website. BayouFord.com is the website. Bayou Ford, where they're going to do right by you.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls, Bands, and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne, plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Me, Jimmy Out and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Dozy Place on Government Street in the heart of Mid-City. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So CBS Sports wrote a story up on their NFL page. Cody Benjamin penned it and was talking about the free agent quarterback market and the likely destinations. By now, you've kind of seen all of these musical chairs and the available pieces, whether it's Lamar Jackson or Derek Carr, or Jacoby Brissett or Jameis Winston or Andy Dalton. I mean, you know the names at this point. And this will all work itself out over the next month or so. But what I wanted to take from this, and at times you got to kind of know who you are and what your strength is. I feel pretty comfortable talking to you about baseball RPIs and pitch selections and starting pitcher. I'm pretty decent with that on the baseball side here and at the college level. When talking about average annual salary estimations and what players are going to command on the open market, I need help. I have to lean on others for that. And that's what I took from this piece, is going through the quarterbacks and seeing what they project to make on the open market and where it makes sense for the Saints and where it doesn't. So the first name is Lamar Jackson, and they've got the AAV projected for him, average annual value projected for him, at around $50 million. I know the Saints are wizards on the salary cap, but when you were $60 million over before you started doing all these conversions that they're in the process of doing right now, it just becomes difficult to crunch the numbers to the extent you can bring a $50 million quarterback in. I'm not suggesting it's impossible. What I am suggesting is if you did it, you'd have to cut a lot of people. You would not be able to sign a lot more from the free agent market. So that one, to me, just the dollars and cents don't work. I don't think they work on David Carr either at between $30 and $35 million. Not at this point in his career and with the amount of holes on your roster. I just don't think $35 million a year is something I'm willing to get into with the David Carr sweepstakes. Derek Carr. Daniel Jones has now started to pop into these lists because there's some turmoil up there in New York. He's 26 years old, and the projection for him is $29 to $35 million. Again, it's just not a quarterback I'm hitching my wagon to for that amount of money. I think if the right quarterback showed up for the Saints for that kind of money, I'd be interested in exploring it. Daniel Jones doesn't fit that criteria. I think he's a nice player. I think he's okay. I think he's a pretty good athlete. I think paying him $35 million is nuts. No thanks. The logical fits portion of the Daniel Jones sweepstakes here say the Colts, the Falcons, the Giants obviously going back, Patriots, Ravens, Saints are not mentioned. Now here's another name, Geno Smith, who's 32. His AAV, $29 to $34 million. I think the very likely scenario is that he's back in Seattle. But we'll see. The thought is if Seattle doesn't franchise tag him or extend him, maybe the Bucs get involved. Wouldn't it be interesting if the Jets called him? I know we took you early in the draft and it was a spectacular failure, but we're all better now and so are you, so come on back. I don't think that call is going to go over too well. The Raiders, if they can't get Aaron Rodgers to come over, does Geno make sense there? I think Seattle's going to end up with him probably on a franchise tag, but we shall see. Jimmy Garoppolo, been a name talked about a lot with the Saints because you're just looking around and he's not going back to San Francisco. Well, now it starts to sound a little bit better. 15 to 30 million. If you can get me closer to $15 million than 30, closer to $18 million, I'll start having the conversation. I'm not totally opposed to the New Orleans Saints signing a more, what's the word I'm looking for? Just a better quarterback than Andy Dalton. I mean, I don't know how blunt I can be. And I think Jimmy G is better. But dollars and cents matter. It's not like an all-you-can-eat buffet where you just pick anything you want. You got to pay for all this stuff. I can pay $15 million for Jimmy G, I can't pay 50 for Lamar. I can't pay 40, 35 for Carr. That doesn't work with the numbers on the Saints cap right now. So that's where you start to maybe entertain something with Jimmy Garoppolo, who's only 31. They say logical fits. How about succeeding Tom Brady once and for all with the Buccaneers? That's where Jimmy G obviously started, right behind Tom Brady. The Dolphins, the Jets, Patriots, the Saints, again, not mentioned here. Then you start to talk about some of the other names: Andy Dalton, Jacoby Brissett, Carson Wentz, Gardner Minshew, Teddy Bridgewater, Taylor Heineke, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Case Keenum, Jarrett Stidham, Cooper Rush, Mason Rudolph. It's a lot. One of the things that did catch my eye was that Andy Dalton's former Bengals quarterback coach, Ken Zampese, is now with the Commanders. So is that somewhere he may want to explore moving forward? I feel like this entire market is being held up by two things. One, what are the Ravens going to do here with Lamar? And two, when's Andy Dalton crawling out of that? I mean, not Andy Dalton. When's Aaron Rodgers crawling out of that closet that he spent in a weekend and deciding what he wants to do with the football? Because until those two guys make their decisions, it would be a little ambitious and probably reckless for some of these teams very much in the market to make a decision. If I'm the Jets, I'm not hitching my wagon to Derek Carr when I might be able to get Rodgers. Same thing if I'm Vegas. I'm not making a jump to go grab Jimmy Garoppolo if I can get Aaron Rodgers. So that holds up the entire market. Now, teams have other things on their plate. They got the combine coming up, and you're doing your draft prep and all that kind of stuff. It's not like there's a hard deadline that's fast approaching for quarterbacks. But, again, you just can't go grab a mediocre player for a bunch of money until you know what the really good players are going to do. And I still put Rodgers in that category, and certainly Lamar Jackson fits that category. But if I'm the Saints, I'm clearly sitting out of those two conversations, even though it's evident that they're not. They're aggressively pursuing Derek Carr and looking around at some others. But I just don't know if some of these quarterbacks are going to sign until the market gets set. And there's another piece to this puzzle that suggests that perhaps Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert come in, get their extensions worked out with their current teams, and that resets the market for what quarterbacks want. We know that Lamar has pointed right to Deshaun Watson's deal and gone, I'm better than him, and he got all this guaranteed money. You better fix this. And that's the way this entire thing operates. That's something that I think in my younger years of paying attention to sports leagues, I may not have had the best grasp on. Because I always thought to myself, like, if these guys really wanted to win, they're already rich. Maybe you take a little bit of a pay cut so that your team can go out there and sign some more players. And certainly in select cases that has happened. Tom Brady has been undercompensated for his level of play for decades, but that's because he wants, one, their salary cap to be more flexible, and two, his wife makes more money than him. That makes it a little easier to take that $12 million a year pay cut when wife's bringing in more cash. But like when the Cubs were chatting with Chris Bryant, and again, I have to rely on some of these more personal examples that I was more invested in order to tell the full story. But talking to Chris Bryant, and they're saying, well, would you take some sort of a hometown discount maybe to stay with the Cubs so they can afford some other things? And no one suggested that Chris Bryant owed that to the Cubs. He didn't. They manipulated his service time and maybe lowballed him on some extensions or whatever. But he said, no, one reason, because, you want to get paid fairly, and two, because there are other third basemen in the leagues, other free agent sluggers in the league that are looking at me to make sure that I get my fair market value so that resets the market and they can get their fair value. If you, as a Major League Baseball player or NFL player, take significantly lower than what you're potentially worth, you're hurting the other guys that play your position in your quote-unquote fraternity because their teams can look at them and go, well, that's all he got. Here, that's all you're getting. And so maybe Herbert and Burrow can come in here, reset the market, and everything kind of gets flipped on its head. But to me, the Saints can't really have a discussion here that starts with anything north of $18 million, $20 million. And yes, I'm aware that literally it can happen because they'll try to find a way to manipulate the salary cap. I think it would be detrimental to the short and medium term for this organization to sink a ton of money into some of these, what I would consider mediocre quarterbacks. But that's been my story. I've been sticking to it for a month now. We'll see what ultimately the decision is from the front office and when this all shakes out. But I think we've got some time here before we figure things out. Southern is on the board over at the box. They scratched one across against Thatcher Hurd, who's just really struggled with his command through 2 innings of work. Walked another Southern batter to lead off the second inning, and that runner did come around to score. So it's 1-0 Southern. LSU got a leadoff man on here in the bottom of the second inning. That is Trey Morgan, who has reached base. So we'll see if the Tigers can even the score, maybe pull ahead early on in a matinee over at the box. If you want to listen to that one, you can find it on our sister station. That is, of course, Eagle 98.1. Chris Blair and Doug Thompson over on the call. Matinee on Mardi Gras Day over at the box. This February, 104.5 ESPN and Citizens Bank and Trust are here to offer you a holiday rebate to the tune of $2,000 in cash. It will also be selecting a local prize winner to receive $1,000 in cash. Sign up now at 1045ESPN.com. We will take one more time out. We will come back, get you another update from the box, play some Take It or Leave It, and get on the road here on a Mardi Gras edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've got that blue sky. I've got that sunshine.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true for Black and Latino women. Be the one in your family to help change this statistic by taking the American Heart Association's challenge to learn CPR. Be the beat for someone you love. You can make a difference when it matters most. Go to heart.org today to take the CPR challenge and save lives.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting with a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne, plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories.
Saturday at 1 p.m. as the Baylor Bears host the Texas Longhorns. Then Saturday night, the Philadelphia 76ers host the Boston Celtics at 7:30. And Sunday, the Milwaukee Bucks host the Phoenix Suns at noon. Right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Get you caught up on the news of the day today, especially regarding LSU football if you have missed it. First thing, reportedly, Malik Nabers, LSU junior to be wide receiver, arrested last night in New Orleans on weapon charges. He was booked a little after midnight this morning and then released on his own recognizance later on in the morning. No further details available, and LSU has been made aware of the situation, but is still gathering facts before releasing a statement on it. So as far as we can go on that. And the other side of things on football, Brian Polian, LSU special teams coordinator and recruiting coordinator, moving to an off-field role. He's basically going to be the general manager, roster builder for that team. They're probably going to shift recruiting coordinator duties likely to Frank Wilson in some capacity, and I expect a special teams coordinator to be named on LSU staff in the next 48 hours is kind of what it sounds like. So that's your news of the day today. Excited for tomorrow's show. Sharif Ishak has Mardi Gras coverage all day today, so he couldn't join us in his usual Tuesday slot. We will chat with him tomorrow. Chris Demouy, former Tiger left-hander, going to join us in his normal Wednesday spot, talk a little baseball with Demouy, so looking forward to that. And also we will have a What If Wednesday, new feature that we've got every single Wednesday. So looking forward to that. They have played 2 innings over at the box. Tigers stranded a pair in the bottom of the second. So it is Southern 1, LSU 0 as they move to the top of the third over at the box. Taylor Sharp, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Yeah, let's do it. LeBron James was asked if he had any advice for French phenom Victor Wembanyama. He said, stay true to the game. Take it or leave it.
I don't even know what that means.
That's so vague.
I guess I'll take it. Stay true to the game. I'll take it. Don't be fake to the game or false to the game, whatever the opposite of that would be. Look, I think any kind of – I mean, if there's one guy to talk to for Wembanyama, it's definitely LeBron. It's a guy who's been hyped since he was 16 years old and going to be the first pick in the draft and is a guard and a big body and that whole deal. But you just got to kind of forge your own path at that point. You got to kind of be who you are. And certainly LeBron growing up in Ohio and Wembanyama growing up in a different country makes things a little bit different. And everybody's got a different journey and different destiny. So we'll see what he's got. But I'm excited to see the kid play in the NBA because that size, that skill set is not normal. And one thing that I've seen like multiple times from Wembanyama and some of the highlights I've seen is this running one-footed three that he shoots kind of frequently.
Yeah, that's not going to work in the NBA.
I don't know if that's going to work in the league, in the association, if you will, but I'm curious to watch it because he's 7 feet something and can shoot. So that's quite interesting to me. We'll see what the youngster can do when he makes his debut coming up in the fall.
All right, don't fall out of your chair on this next
I'll try.
one. Cubs right fielder Sia Suzuki tells the media that he has invited Shohei Ohtani to join the Cubs after his contract is up this fall. Ohtani to Chicago, take it or leave it.
Oh, man. I'll take it. Look, I saw this quote, and obviously Seiya is working through an interpreter, and there's language barrier there, which I've talked about many times. I'm so impressed by people that can come to a country that doesn't speak any of their language and function the way that some of these guys can. But there's obviously sometimes a disconnect between language. But the quote that you got from whether or not he'd been talking to Ohtani about coming to the Cubs, and then Seiya said, I've invited him, which is very nice of him to invite Shohei to Chicago. I have a feeling like there's going to need to be some sort of financial enhancement or inducement to have him show up in Chicago, and I don't think there's any shot in the world that the Ricketts family is going to spend that money. So I have no confidence that Ohtani will ever play in Wrigley for the Cubs. But I appreciate Seiya, our right fielder, for inviting him to come after the contract is up. That's very, very nice and well thought out by my right fielder.
The Commanders have officially hired Eric Bieniemy as the new offensive coordinator. Bieniemy will parlay this into a head coaching job. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I heard something today which was interesting, and it was LaShawn McCoy on Speak, the FS1 show, and he said, look, I've played in the Chiefs system for Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. In the offensive meetings, Andy Reid runs everything, and Eric Bieniemy has very little to nothing to do with the passing game. He's a running back coach who handles a lot of the running game stuff, but Andy Reid puts the system in. And if that's true, which I have no way of knowing because I haven't played for the Chiefs, then it makes a lot of sense that Eric Bieniemy would interview for some of these jobs, and this information would come to light, and teams would go, well, if you're not really doing any of this, and Andy Reid's coaching the passing game, and Mahomes is out there making all these plays, how big an impact are you having? If you come into my organization with no Andy Reid and no Patrick Mahomes, how are we going to move the ball? And so, again, I don't know all the details of what goes into a game plan and play calling and what percent is Andy Reid and what percent is Eric Bieniemy and what percent is Patrick Mahomes at the line of scrimmage and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of moving parts that I'm not privy to and don't have full understanding of. But what I'll tell you is, it seems like a lot of people in the NFL are willfully bringing Eric Bieniemy in for an interview, and after the interview determining that's not the guy they want running their football program. That's, to me, a large sample of evidence to suggest that he's in a pretty good spot there in Kansas City, and it might not be as cushy elsewhere. And certainly, I wouldn't suggest that doing anything in the Washington organization would be championship-level production because they've been atrocious for 3 decades. So we shall see. But I have my doubts as to whether or not this will get Eric Bieniemy a head coaching job. What I will say is good for him. If his goal is to be a head coach, and that's why he's making this move and betting on himself, good for him. Quality of life's probably pretty good, making a good salary, winning a ton of games in Kansas City with one of the best quarterbacks and coaches that ever lived. So he'll see. We'll sink or swim.
Yeah, I saw that from LaShawn McCoy. Le'Veon Bell, for what it's worth, has actually said something similar to LaShawn McCoy. Major League Baseball teams are now tinkering with an updated shift to get around the new rules. A left fielder playing in shallow right, take it or leave it.
So I'll take it. I have a hard time telling people where they can stand on defense. Now, I realize it's been done. In football, you're not allowed to play in the opponent's backfield. You got to stand behind the line of scrimmage. We all know this. In basketball, they've had defensive 3 seconds at times. And clearly, it's at a disadvantage to the left-handers because they have to run the direction that they pull the baseball to, which means you can shift them to the pull side, and a right-hander it becomes a little bit more difficult because the throw's longer and you can't play in shallow left field and throw anybody out. But that's apparently what they're looking into doing, is taking the left fielder, because your infielders, you have to have 2 on either side of second base, and they have to have feet on the dirt. The outfielders don't have any of those rules. So they can pull the outfielder right behind the second baseman and play him in shallow right field and play with really 2 outfielders. Now, that's going to give you a lot of real estate out there in the outfield, but I think anything to enhance yourself defensively and have a better chance to make a play is just fine by me. Last one? Oh, that's it? That's all we got? All right, that's an edition of Take It or Leave It. I'm sitting here watching baseball and not real thrilled with it. Southern's gotten 3 hits off of Thatcher Hurd here in the second inning. They have the bases loaded and nobody out. In the third inning. against the Tiger right-hander. So Southern with a 1-0 lead here in the third with the bases loaded and nobody out. So we'll see if Thatcher Hurd can wiggle off the hook. Christian Little is in the bullpen readying for the Tigers. So that game is going on over at the box. Looks like a really good crowd out there on a warm Tuesday here on Mardi Gras Day. So hopefully the Tigers can wiggle off the hook here and put a crooked number up on the board in the bottom half. We'll certainly react to this on tomorrow's show. We'll have Chris Demouy on our usual segment. We'll have What If Wednesday. We'll have Sharif Ishak tomorrow. So looking forward to tomorrow's show very, very much. If you miss any of today's show, you can always catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Google. You can find us on Spotify. And, of course, over on YouTube. Open the show today talking about Malik Nabers and his arrest over last night and what that means for him. I got you ready for LSU and Southern at 1:15, Glenn West at 1:30, talking baseball and a little bit of basketball as well. Brian Polian moving to an off-the-field role. Chatted about that at the end of hour number 1. Matthew Bruni from the Bengal Tiger on 3. Joined us to talk some basketball at 2 o'clock. SEC Hoops preview, including some picks against the spread at 2:15, and then some NFL free agency stuff at 2:30. Fun show here on Mardi Gras Day. If you're out there on the route or just enjoying a day off, hope it is a gorgeous one and a safe one. If you're on the grind and been hanging out with us, we certainly appreciate that. It's been an empty building. I'm going to go home. I'm done for the day. But we'll be back same time and same place tomorrow. Have a great Mardi Gras evening. See you tomorrow for the Hunt Palmer Show.